I have decided to do a series on building a stroker engine from scratch or from the beginning, and to show you how to do it. Now this is for all the young guys or young girls out there in the world that never had a father or an older brother to show them how to do any of this or give them any advice, because that's the way I grew up. I spent a lot of time alone, and it wasn't really fun. But I want to do this video series, and I can't do them with music, so anyway, to begin with, this is a stock engine here that I got off of eBay. It has your brakes, your case, main case. It has the other case right here, stock crankshaft, stock intake, which you won't need. It has the stock oil pump, which you won't need. It has the starter. A starter will work up to about a 98 cc. Other than that, with high compression, the starter won't work. This is the most important part to be careful with. This is the magneto or alternator. I'm not an electrical expert, so if you're an electrical engineer, you don't need to comment and tell me how wrong I am on it. Anyway, this is a stock crankshaft right here. And this is a stroker. Now, in order to understand what we're doing, we have to understand parts. Your stock crank is about 70, let's see what we got here. It's about 74 or 73 millimeters in diameter. Diameter means the area here all the way across. Circumference, which we won't use, but that means the total area all the way around. We're only concerned with diameter. Now, I'm not sure how long the piston rod is on the stock crank here. Now we go to the stroker crank, if you haven't seen one, and its diameter all the way across the middle is about, see if we can get a better picture on this. It's about 78 millimeters. So the diameter is larger, therefore the crankcase well, which is down in here, it has to be enlarged for the larger crank. Now another aspect of the difference between a DIO crank, which is here, or a Honda Elite, which they call them in America, and your 50 millimeter stroker crank, is that the rod, of course, is longer. It's just maybe 3/4 of an inch. I don't know how many meters that millimeters. And one thing you'll notice that is very important. If you notice that where the crank is placed along the crankshaft, if you'll notice that on the stroker crank, the bottom pin is placed closer to the outside. And what this does is it allows a greater movement of the crank, which means it will go farther down in the cylinder and farther up in the cylinder. that will give you more power naturally. Now if you look at the stock crank right here, you notice that the bottom pin is very close to the crankshaft proper, right here. Now if this pin were farther out, you would get more, it would be a larger cc crank. But that's one of the differences. Another difference is this, which is very important, which I learned the hard way. On the stock crank, on one side goes the magneto or alternator. On the other side goes your variator right here, and your ramp plate, and then your outer plate. But the one thing about the DIO, or I mean the stroker crank, is that this from here to here is longer by probably about 1 millimeter. Therefore, you need crank shims, crankshaft shims. To put, you'll need 3. 1, 2, 3. They're little tiny round shims, about the size of a nickel, with a hole in them, and I'll show you those. But that's the main importance. Now right here, this is the gear that runs the oil pump, which you're not going to use. This is the oil pump. The oil pump is run off the crank shaft. Now on some DIO cranks, they don't have this because they don't need it. Because you're going to put a plug right here where the oil pump did go, and you can see right down in here where the plug is. It's right there. Now this is going to be a long series, but I'm going to make it as much explanatory as I can, because I was born to be either a teacher or a priest, and I want to show all the young people out there that don't have anyone to show them how it's done, how I do it. And I hope that you like this video series, and if you have any questions, please ask me, because I will go over it and over it until you get it right on my take of it. I don't know really that much about the motors. Okay, this is going to be the end of part 1.